Hello, I am Dr. Megan Miller,
And I'm Joe Smith.
and this is We'll Decide Wednesday, a special feature of the Do Better podcast. We're doing things a little bit different tonight. We don't have the wheel, and we already know what our topic
Yeah.
is to close out the last episode of 2020. And this completes, I mean, we technically didn't start until like March of 2021, of 2020, but we've kind of done like our, full year of We'll Decide Wednesdays. So that's fun.
It is fun. And I really enjoy us doing it because it's just a unique little feature that we have each week. And it gets us talking about other topics other than ABA directly, like specifically. So
Yes, yes.
it's been
And
fun.
we have some fun planned for 2021. We're going to try out that stereo app a bit and hop on there. We have to figure that out still to have some
Yeah.
other additional like non-ABA talk. And then the other fun thing we have happening for those of you watching live, and hopefully I get this put up on our Anchor channel tonight before I go to bed. Do Better is teaming up with the BCBAs using the ISCA Facebook group, and we're having an HRE NYE. So a happy, relaxed, and engaged New Year's Eve. So if you check out the Do Better Pod Facebook page, the Do Better Movement Facebook page, my Dr. Megan Miller Facebook page, the BCBA is using the ISCA, any one of those places, and I'll put it in the chat. We're doing a like dance party starting at 7 p.m. Eastern and hopefully going until midnight, but we'll see if people last that long. And we have, I'm trying to do like more of a like wedding vibe, like the songs you would hear at a wedding reception, as opposed to like hardcore like dance club shake your booty stuff. So people are a little bit more comfortable just like, dancing and singing along with their friends, because it'll be a lot of it'll be kind of like an ABAI social type thing, so we don't want people to embarrass themselves by like doing too risque of dance moves.
I love wedding. Like my thing of wedding dances. I love wedding dances because I love being able to do like the Cupid shuffle, the electric slide, all those type of wedding dances. That's like my jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've debated. So what do you think? Should I put some of those? Because like are line dances as fun if you're by yourself? I don't know. I was like going to put them on the playlist, but I'm not sure. I won't do the electric slide because I'm not a fan of the electric slide. But like the
What?
Cupid shuffle or the wobble, I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Fun
Maybe we
or
should
not?
take make maybe have a poll on the page
Yeah.
and
Well,
send it out to people and
people can always just say like skip it or something. But
that's true. That's true.
all right. So tonight's topic is to reflect on 2020. And I guess I'm supposed to go first, I think, because you went first last week.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer.
Okay.
I have a live Facebook post on my Dr. Megan Miller page where I'm doing this tomorrow, and it's going to be much longer than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But reflections of 2020. So I'm going to start with this because I want to make sure I have enough time. So I don't know if any of you have been listening. Sarah Troutman and a few other women behavior analysts started a new podcast and like community called Defy. And Sarah did her podcast episode, like interviewing her, like somebody interviewed her and she talked about like her story. And at the end of the podcast episode, she says this, and I wrote it down so that I could just it's basically a direct quote from the episode, but you should check out the whole thing. So she
Okay.
said, "Time on earth is fleeting. You've got nothing to lose by leading in with love and compassion, nothing to lose by wanting to be true to yourself and asking those hard questions. You have nothing to lose with being willing to be vulnerable in order to obtain and create connections and relationships." So for me, that like when I was running and listening to her say that, that was just that was a huge reflection point for me in 2020. She put it in way better words than I could have. But like especially the being having compassion, I would hope we've all been able to develop more skills around that this year with all the different things people have had to deal with, and we can carry that into 2021. Compassion, I think, is definitely one of my words for 2021, and it was for 2022, but not for the whole year. So that just really hit me, and I really liked the being willing to be vulnerable in order to obtain and create connections and relationships, because I think far too often we're closed off to each other and we don't really get to engage authentically with one another, and it can disrupt those connections and things. So that I think there were more opportunities, even though we didn't get to see people in person, people were connecting virtually a lot more, and like we all had so much more time in the day that we didn't necessarily know what to do with. We couldn't really work, a lot of us, because we had kids home
Yeah.
and there was no way to get, like, you're just too distracted. And we couldn't like go anywhere. So we spent more time like texting or talking online with people. And so that to me was one of the best things about 2020. I sure definitely want to get back to traveling and seeing people in person. But I think that it was helpful to have that slowdown.
Yeah.
There's my time.
Nice. Wow. I don't have a profound quote like that, but that's awesome. And let's see if there's any anyone that said anything in the chat.
Leslie said, "Fun idea. Actually, have dinner out. First time ever in 30 years with the hubs. I'll be sad to miss it." Well, Leslie, if you get done early, or you're in a different time zone with us, so we might start before you go to dinner, and you could join us for a little bit if you want.
Mhm. And then I really do like Robert's comment about go back to Baby Yoda talk. Just because like I'm a big Baby Yoda fan. There's a lot of things behind that that I can't say about. A lot of people should know, but I'm not going to spoil it. So, all right, I'm going to start my time. All right, so 2020 has been a whirlwind of a year. I mean, I think everyone agrees with me. Like, there's no one that can say that 2020 was a really chill year. Um, but looking back on 2020, it has been some of the really oddest times in my life and some of the best. So I think one of the takeaways I'm taking away this year is I love how much we realize that connection is a huge part of our lives and how much we crave it and how much it's important to focus on having those connections with other humans. Um, I think we realize that we value like in-person connection a lot more, and we as a society need to slow down a little bit more to embrace those connections. So I think that that's one of the best things that came out of 2020 is that realization of like how important human connection is, and how important it is to um, focus on that. I think what I really enjoyed too, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I think it was nice for families to be able to see their children more often.
Maybe
Maybe, maybe.
some
Hopefully,
days.
but, and I really like the fact that they realized what school. I mean, like kids were doing for school too. They were more connected with school than they have ever been in their lives. So as a former teacher, I really appreciate that and really like the idea of like them knowing what their child is doing more in school. Hopefully, you know. Um, I think that's something that we might have to look forward to in 2021 is how can we do better in the school systems too to reach our kids too.
Yeah.
Um, just because I think from now on out we're going to have to use virtual technology at some point. And how can we go about best at educating our little humans? Um, I think. Oh, perfect. My time's
Your
done.
time up.
Yeah.
My mom said, "I've enjoyed spending more time with my daughter." So have I, Mom.
Oh,
Um, Nora said new connections this year have been amazing. And then she said hard maybe. I don't know if that was when she was talking about when we were talking about having the kids home. But
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's hard. Like I don't I tell all my parents that, I I love how engaged and how I mean how dedicated they are. And I can't imagine going through this time as a parent just because it's a hard job. You have to worry about education, your own job, and then on top of that, all the other stressors that came into your life and you didn't even ask for.
yeah. Yep. And Nora said we have to figure out how to reach those most at risk for lack of skill development. I think when you were talking about the virtual learning and like getting that still better figured out. Um, and
Yeah,
even that, like the other thing that seems to be coming up with virtual learning too is the learners who um, are in like an age range where they can basically just get away with like playing games on their computer and they're not actually
yeah,
doing anything during their course, their classes.
yeah,
But I think a lot of those types of things, unfortunately, my husband had brought up something about, I don't know, there was something going on in like Maryland where students weren't getting the grades they should. So instead of changing things, they just changed how they graded stuff. And I
yeah,
was like, well, that to me more pinpoints how just like messed up our education system is. Like, it's clearly not focusing on the right skills and using the right teaching methodologies. And it stinks that it took a pandemic to highlight that a lot more for people. But like, that's really what's going on there. If the kids aren't getting the grades and the system's so messed up that they can just be like, well, we'll just change how we grade things. It's like, clearly you're not focused on actual learning here.
yeah. You're just
Your
focusing on
priorities have zero
your
to do
school,
with the students and making progress.
which affects me as a college educator. Like I teach a class online, and I can tell the level of the class and the students that I receive in my classroom, and their skill set. And I'm like, well, you guys should have you should have learned this back in like sixth grade. And like and it's difficult. It's like working with those learners who are in college but have school deficits that should have been addressed
Yeah.
instead of
Yep.
just being pushed through.
Yep. So
So
true.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Well,
one more announcement before we finish off our last We'll Decide Wednesday.
of
Um,
2020.
yes, of 2020. It's not the last ever.
No.
We are doing a live podcast recording on Saturday, January 2nd at from 5 to 7 Eastern.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to hop on, we will be broadcasting from this page and we're going to be talking about soft skills and behavior analysis. Um, so yeah, looking forward to that. Joe and I haven't recorded an episode with just each other in a really long time,
A
probably
really
I
long
think since
time.
like August or something. So we've been doing lots of wonderful interviews, but we haven't talked just the two of us. So
Yeah.
super looking forward to that and hoping some of you can join the conversation and share some of your thoughts about soft skills and behavior analysis.
Yeah. Come on. I mean, like if you're a BSBA, RBT, behavior tech, come on out. And join us on our live feed. We would love feedback and we would love to see what you guys are doing in the field as well with soft skills. I don't think it's taught enough in um, your coursework. So it'll be interesting to see the perspective of everyone.
Yes, perfect. Nora said, so needed, can't wait. And Jenna Lee said, looking forward to it. Well, we hope
Awesome.
everyone has a great New Year's. Maybe we'll see some of you at the HRE New Year's Eve tomorrow. Otherwise, hopefully, we'll see some of you on Saturday for the live recording of our podcast.
Awesome.
Bye,
So
everybody.
bye everyone.